There's a trapezium, maybe yours looks upside down, maybe its proportions are a little bit different, but that's basically what you've got. The thing about it is those two parallel sides. We good so far? Yeah? Yeah. Excellent. Alright, so now you get to have a think, okay? And I'm going to give you 1 to 2 minutes in your pair, or if you're not with a pair, maybe the people behind you, to have a think about, what did we do here? We played this game of trying to turn a shape which wasn't familiar into one that was, one that we could work its area out, right? So, you've got a trapezium.
Do the same to it.
What are you going to do? I'll give you a couple minutes to experiment. Get a pencil out. Make sure you're doing this part in pencil so that if you do something, you try something, doesn't end up being helpful, you can rub it out and try again. Okay? There's lots of different ways to do it. I know at least 5. I'm only going to show you one today because of time. I want you to see, how would you cut this up? Maybe you actually want to cut it up. I have scissors. Okay? How would you divide this? What might you add or what might you take away in order to make it into, well, one of these? Something you know the area of and how to calculate it. Okay? So just so we're clear, you've got your trapezium. You want to think of how to do something like what we've done here. Maybe you're going to add something, maybe you're going to cut something off or rearrange it so you can work out its area. If you think you have an idea, call me over. Don't spoil it for everyone else. Okay, all right. People are starting to look. I've seen about 10 people who've given much the same answer. It's not that bad, but I wonder, as I rehearse it for you, because not everyone's giving me the same one, if you can work out what's wrong. Right. So, here's the trapezium that most people have drawn. And you might notice, if you look really carefully, it's a teensy bit different to the one I've shown you. I'll show you why it's different in a second. Here's what most people have done. They've said, all right, I'm going to put a line down like that. Clever idea, because that's pretty much the same thing we did with the parallelogram. Cool. And then you say, well, okay, I've got one here. That makes a triangle over here. I'll do another one on the other side. I'll do this. Okay? So now I have 2 triangles, and here's where most people have been saying, all right, now I have an answer. You take this part, and what do you think you would do with it at this stage?
Put on the other side.
Very good. So most people are chucking it over here. Okay? And then, hey presto, you've got this shape. You've got this new triangle over here, right? And then what has been lost over here gives you a rectangle. So it's pretty much this kind of proof. Very clever idea. I have one problem with it though.
You can't do it on this.
Come back to my trapezium.
Yeah,
Okay? So I'm going to give this a go. Now my trapezium is not hugely different to this one, okay? What is the difference? How would you articulate it? Yeah.
One side is like, the angle is like, that's a bigger angle.
Yeah, okay. So it's not
I don't know.
symmetrical, is it? Right?
No, that's the word.
Whereas, yeah, this is nice and perfect, okay? By the way, this is called an isosceles trapezium, but this is not. This is not. This side and this side, they don't match up, and I can show you what's going to happen, all right? Let's do the same kind of cuts. You've got this guy over here, right? And when I bring him over, like, look, this guy's sort of thin, right? So when I put him over the other side, he's going to look something like this. I think that's what you're going to get, roughly. Does that make sense? I look at this side versus this side. That's about what you've got. Okay. So this approach is nice. It gives you an answer, provided your trapezium is being friendly, right? But it might not be. Okay. So what else could we do? Yep.
You could do what I did.
Why don't you talk us through it, Jacob? What are you going to do?
I had red dotted lines. Oh, wait, do you have to cut a bit out of the shape and put it like on the other side?
You guys can do
you
kind of whatever you like, so long as it does
so
work.
This is what I'm
Right?
saying.
Okay, yep, I'm listening.
Like just a normal trapezium.
Yep.
Wait, we'll use your one.
Sure.
I'm just coming up. It's just
Let's take this idea of, clearly you're seeing we're going to have to do some rearrangement here, right? That's what everyone's answers
that should be there.
have in common, okay? So, now, if you've drawn all over your diagram, like this, okay, would you draw a new trapezium for me? This time, make sure it's not your neat, symmetrical one. Make it kind of an unfriendly one, because we're going to do a trick on it. To help you, and this was part of what you guys struggled with, I think, right? A lot of you didn't have things clearly labeled, okay? So, let's put some labels on this that will help us. You got 2 parallel sides. Does anyone know what they're usually called? Because they do actually usually have names. Anyone? X and Y is one choice. A and B is the other choice. I mean, they're just letters. Kind of doesn't matter. I'm going to go with A and B for now because X and Y will come in tomorrow's lesson. So I'm going to put this one I'm going to shade it in blue because I'm going to need it later. I'll call that one A. Okay. So I've got B down the bottom. That kind of makes sense. B for base. So here we go. Okay, so far so good. All right. I want you to draw that altitude you had before, right? So you're like, so far nothing much has changed. I'm going to draw it from this corner here, right, all the way down. Now so far you and I have done the same thing, right? But now here's where it's going to be a little different. Okay. I want you to measure this line. I don't know how tall it is on yours, it depends. I suppose maybe it's 10 centimeters, 8 centimeters, whatever. Then I want you to halve it. So you're going to draw a line that's halfway up, like so. Okay? And it's parallel to all of the other sides that you've got there.
Wait, so I'm measuring that line and then...
Yeah, so if this whole distance was 10 centimeters, for instance, you're going to have 5 and 5. Okay? Or if it was 8, then you'd have 4 and 4. So far, so good? Yep. Okay. Now, because everyone's are all different, right? Like it might be 4 and 4, or 5 and 5, or mine looks kind of like 15 and 15, okay? I want us all to be able to talk about them in the same way. So whatever it is, it's that height, and it's divided by 2, like this. Height divided by 2. You see that?
Yeah.
Height divided by 2. They're both the same. I've divided it in half. That's all I've got. Okay, so here comes the magic now, all right? Remember before how you did this, you said, look, this triangle and this triangle, they'll just nicely match, right? But it was kind of a coincidence that this side and this side were going to fit together, okay? But have a look at mine, right? No matter what kind of trapezium you've drawn, I'm still going to get a match if. Take this triangle up here, right? This little one, the smallest triangle in the whole bunch. And I want you to rotate it around this point that I've got. See this point that I've got here?
Sir,
Okay. Yes?
I won't touch my paper, you can come and look, I did that.
Alright, I'll come over to it in a minute. I'll draw it up so everyone else can see what you should have, right? It's going to come around like this.
You just touched it.
Okay? Can you see what it looks like? Can you see how this one has come around like that? And I've rotated it 180 degrees. Okay? It's alright to pair. I'm convinced. You can put your arms down. We're going to do the same thing. But we're going to do it with this shape over here, the one with the blue A up the top, okay? I'm going to do it much the same way. I'm going to rotate it around this spot, okay? It's going to go around in the opposite direction, like so. All right, now where's it going to end up? If you rotate it around, just like this triangle, it's going to end up upside down, okay? If I take this and I grab it all the way around, okay? In fact, what you'll get is this kind of shape. Alright, now look carefully with me. We rotated it around. Have a look at this blue line. Where should it end up? Where is it now? It's down here, isn't it? This is where A is now. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that with my colors. That's why they're colored. So there you go. There's A now. Does that make sense? Okay, so what have I done? Taken these two pieces, rotated them around, and now what I'm left with, if I remove the pieces that have been rotated, is what kind of shape's that? That's a rectangle, right? Now have a look at its dimensions. The area of a rectangle, right? You've got your height here, right? And it's h on 2. How broad is it? What's the breadth?
A plus B.
A plus B is exactly right. Well done, Jane. Okay. So I'm going to put those in brackets, right? Like so. And there you go. There's your formula for a trapezium.
Everything
Okay.
is the same.